This meeting is being recorded.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Cisco Modeling Lab's free office hours for the month of August. My name is Leslie Greenup, and I will be your host. And I'm excited to have you all join us today. So, this is all ran by you all. So, we will answer all the questions that we get from you. So, take a time. You can scan this QR code, it'll take you to Slido, and you can begin submitting your questions as I start to go through some housekeeping rules and let you know who's on the call with our team. So, quick agenda. I'll introduce you all to the CML team who is on the call. There'll be a question, a poll that'll start for you asking where everyone is located. And then we'll give you a couple of CML announcements. And then we'll go right into the questions that you all submit. So, as I stated, my name is Leslie Greenup. I'm the technical marketing engineer for the CML team. I work closely with Dalton Ortega, who is our product manager, and also John Ernst, who is our engineering leader. Um, the other people on the team within engineering, we have Tom Bryan, who is our technical leader. Justin G. I don't even want to attempt the last name, Justin. I do not want to embarrass you. Software engineering technical leader. And then we have Ramal K, who is the support lead. So if you've had any questions on CML, you probably have spoken to Ramal. And then Joe Clark, you see a lot of videos from him, a lot of tutorials. We actually have one that just dropped. I'll share that with you all later. He is a distinguished engineer. And also Ralph S., our software engineering technical lead, is on the call as well. So again, I want to open that poll for you all so you can let us know where is everyone located that is joining this call. Give me a second to open that up for you. And we have Mexico, Costa Rica, Brazil, Nepal, okay, Colombia, South Africa, the US, it's big, Netherlands, and I see some of you all typing. You have a nice little coverage going on. Okay, continue to enter that information for us because we like to know where you are. A couple of CML announcements. So, if you are not aware, CML 2.9 is now available. We do have the biggest feature that is new is containers. There is actually, if you go on our webpage, if you see here, there is a new upgrading to CML 2.9 video that you all can view. Yes, CML Free is able to upgrade to 2.9, and we definitely encourage you all to do so. And also, if you, wherever you are in your CML journey, you can also go to the free Cisco U training and it gives you more information about it. Now, if you're in this office hours session and you do not or you did not submit any questions, we do have three more coming up for 2025, one each month. So we have September 25th, October 23rd, and November 19th. So you're able to join all of these if you would like to. We definitely encourage you to just to get more information about CML and we can answer any questions that you may have. Okay, so at this time, let's go into our questions and see what we have available. Bear with me. Let me go back to Slido. While you all are entering that, I do want to ask those on the call, let me know where are you in your current CML free journey? Are you I've downloaded it and I'm not using it. I've installed it and using it. I've installed it, but I haven't started using it, signed up, but have not downloaded, and tried to install and use it, but it encountered problems. So let's see the feedback we get on this. Installed it and using it. Okay. Can't see that last answer. Let me see. Try to install it but encountered problems. Okay. For those putting in try to install it but encountered problems, please submit in the on Slido what issues are you seeing that are causing a problem. So what happened? What question do you have for us? So maybe we can get that answered for you all. Okay. I'm going to keep that poll open and we'll be able to go ahead to our first question. Does CML offer a trial version that can be tested before making a purchase? Additionally, is it possible to use CML to establish a connection with Google Cloud Router? So you all don't get sick of my voice. I'm going to go ahead and let someone else on the team answer this so that you can be introduced to one of the guys who would like to answer that.
Yeah, I'll answer that one. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, so CML, we do have the free version, which is intended to be a trial for the paid personal versions, the ones that come with 20 and then 40 nodes, respectively. So definitely try that out because you can run it on a modern laptop for the most part. It's pretty lightweight itself, the CML controller. And then we have pretty lightweight reference platforms in there like IOL, layer 2, layer 3. So that would probably be my suggestion. If you are part of an enterprise or like an education institution, we do have trial licenses for smart license product. But yeah, those are going to be for like multi-group kind of entities.
Okay, thank you for that answering that question for us, Dalton. Uman Sankar, if you have a follow-up question, feel free to submit that as well. Okay. Now,
Maybe from my end, I'm wondering what that Google Cloud Router thing, what that actually is, or like what the question behind that is. Does it mean that you want to connect something from inside of CML to a particular cloud router instance in Google Cloud? If that is the question, then the answer is yes, you certainly can connect to something that is external. The question then is, what do you need to actually connect to that Google Cloud Router? Is what's the counterpart? But from a fundamental point of view, you certainly can connect to something that is on the outside of CML, and so I don't think that it's fundamentally not possible. So it should be possible to do that, but maybe you can clarify what you actually want to do there, because I'm not really familiar with that kind of thing. So.
okay. And then thank you for that, Ralph and Dalton. So the next question is, are there going to be any Nexus images that will be available for free this month?
So we don't ship with.
Go ahead. I'm sorry,
Go ahead,
Dalton.
Dalton.
Yeah, I was gonna say we don't ship with the Nexus image directly for the CML free. I think it's part of the paid version. If you do get the CML Personal and Personal Plus, it does allow you to um, basically have entitlement to download a large reference platform ISO that has a lot of different images, including Nexus 9K, Catalyst, and a couple handful of other ones like SD-WAN and Next-Gen Firewall. Those are provided in the paid version. We've thought about doing, we're allowing like the actual node definitions and future releases in a possible free platform, but you'd still have to, actually have entitlement to download the virtual image from Cisco Software Central. So if you wanted to get the Nexus 9K, you'd have to get the QCOW2 file from, that actual download site.
Okay. And then this is a question that we got in the chat. Are these sessions only discussing CML free versions only, or would these sessions be discussing how to use CML more efficiently? So these specific office hours questions are just here to get questions from the CML free customers. Okay. Now we do have some upcoming webinars that will be coming out as far as CML best practices that you will be able to join and get information on. And also we'll have some webinars that will focus on different topics within CML. Definitely please submit through Slido what topics you would like to see webinars on, because that definitely helps us, because we're here to answer your questions and we can gear those webinars around that. Okay. So our next question is, what is the best way to use external connector to connect two CML labs, both running on my ESXi server? Who wants to take that one?
I can take that one. So imagining that you have two CML instances in the ESXi server, you can just so basically you can create a new VM port group in ESXi and add it as a second interface to CML. Then you need to configure custom external connectivity. I can share a link to that video. I can put a link to Joe's video in the chat. Yeah, so basically both the CML instances should be connected to the same external interface. And you also need to create the appropriate bridge in the CML's cockpit UI. And then you have to be able to connect the two labs.
Thank you, Ramal. And John V, if you have a follow-up question for that, feel free to submit that for us, okay? Now, the next question we have is from Asim. Where is a complete list of supported products in CML? I'm sure it's in the documentation, but if you have a link, that will be great. So, Asim, we actually do have a list. Let me drop this in the chat to everyone. If you go here to the CML documentation page, you're able to see the VM images for CML Labs. There's a link to your left. And also, if whatever you're looking for, you could simply type in this search box right here and it will pull up what documentation it falls in. So I'm going to post that in the chat to everyone right now, so you all can go ahead and bookmark that. Okay, let me go back.
Hey, Leslie, just wanted to add that if you're on Slido, on the top left, there's a menu, and in there, I linked the documentation as well. So that's another link or another source that you can grab the link.
Thank you, Carlo. All righty. Our next question. Could you clarify why the subscription period for Personal or Personal Plus license begins at the time of purchase rather than upon installation or activation? This approach seems a bit unconventional, and I'd appreciate understanding the reasoning behind it. I feel like that's a Dalton question. What you think,
Actually,
Dalton?
not super familiar with that process. Carlo, do you know how that process goes? I can talk with Eric. He's online, but yeah, I'm not really familiar with how it's provisioned in the CLN store.
Yeah, I'm not too familiar, but it is true that as soon as you purchase, that license starts and not during the activation process. So the countdown timer begins as soon as your account gets the actual license. So we'll have to take a look at that, but it's definitely something that we can talk with Eric on the CLN store team.
Okay. So we'll follow up on that one with you. Our next question is from Alexis. Why are the switches limited to fast Ethernet? Who wants to take that one?
I can talk to this. So they're not technically limited to fast Ethernet. Internally, everything is basically a gigabit Ethernet interface, and the way it is being represented on the outside really depends on the platform itself. So it's not differently handled or done something in a different way depending, or if you see a fast Ethernet interface versus a gigabit interface or a 10 gigabit interface. At the end of the day, it's just a representation, and how it is being done inside of those reference platform images. So if there is an iOS switch or an iOS V router that might represent that interface as a gigabit interface, an IOL instance might represent it as a Ethernet interface or fast Ethernet interface. The name is actually Ethernet in that case. And on some other devices, they show up as 10 gigabit Ethernet interfaces, but it's from an underlying technology point of view, it's not different. It's just a different name. And to be honest, we don't make up those names. They are being baked into these virtual machines and reference platforms as we get them from other business entities. So that's just the way it is. And there's, for the most part, not a lot that we as the CML team can do about this.
Thank you, Ralph. I'm going to do this question next because it's about an educational license. And I haven't seen one yet. Is there an education license for CML? I work at a vocational school for IT professionals, and we would like to use CML so that the students can work with it. There actually is. And I'm going to go over to Dalton that he can let you know some more details about that. Go ahead, Dalton.
Thanks, Leslie. Yeah, there definitely is a CML license for educational institutions, especially for nonprofits. So this one works a little bit differently. It's obviously multi-user. It is licensed by the number of concurrent users that you have using the CML platform at any given time. There's essentially two different SKUs. There's the base license, which includes the CML controller. It includes one user license, which is typically the main instructor or the CML admin for that college. And it comes with the reference platforms as well and tax support. So that's one thing that's pretty big difference between personal and free versus these enterprise and education versions is the inclusion of the tax support. And then there's the additional users licenses. So if you have a class of 10 plus one instructor, you'd get one CML education base license and then 10 CML education user licenses. But yeah, if you want to explore that further, then you can email us at cml-info@cisco.com and we can walk through that a little bit in more detail.
Thank you, Dalton. Our next question we have for Ralph. Hi, do you have an example setup of how to set up DNS mask container with DHCPS subnets in different VLANs?
Thanks for throwing me under the bus here.
It was tag. It says Ralph.
I didn't put that on there. So, okay. I'm not sure, to be honest. DNS mask is a mighty beast, so you can configure quite a lot into DNS mask, and for sure you can configure it as a DHCP server. Whether you can configure it to serve different VLAN interfaces, and if you can configure the container interface to actually provide those VLAN interfaces, I don't know, because I haven't ever tried it. I would suggest if you truly need different DHCP scopes inside of your network, why not just put up two containers and have one serve one VLAN and the other one serve the other VLAN, and do that how often you need that. I'm not saying it doesn't work. I just haven't done it myself, and I don't know how that, if it works or if it doesn't work. But my suggestion would be just keep it very simple and then just use two containers if you need multiple subnets with different DHCP scopes. So why not do it a simple way? It might work, but yeah, I don't have a concrete example that I can give you. So yeah, that's, I guess, the long-winded story here.
And in case you missed a long-winded story, I want you all to know we are recording this and it's going to be posted on the CML community, okay? So you will be able to go back and listen to this, and we'll also have an article that'll come out that'll document some of these questions, look to make some quick videos for you all to view. So we're trying to engage with you all any way that we can. This next one is for Justin. I love your CML community lab topologies on GitHub. Would it be possible to put out troubleshooting labs where errors are put in place so we can see if we can figure out how to fix them inside of CML?
Yeah, today we do accept external pull requests to the CML community lab topologies on GitHub. So if you have something that you want to see in there, you can do a pull request. As far as having this, I'll call it like a chaos monkey type thing where you can have, some automated way to break the labs or have multiple topologies. It's something that we've discussed as having as a feature. We never really gained enough traction to implement that though. So if it's something that you want to see specifically around having some way to break the topology, feel free to let us know. And if we get enough groundswell around that, it's something that we might be able to implement. But as far as having just troubleshooting topologies, I guess you could have different files and different directories and do a pull request, and then we can see about pulling those in. Additionally, in 2.9, you can have an internal repo as well. So instead of having it just go to the CML topologies GitHub, you can stand up your own Git instance. It could be Bitbucket, it could be GitLab, GitHub, all these different tools. It basically just has to be Git, and then you can pull in topologies from that.
Thank you. And also, if you're in Slido, there is a moderator response in there as well, and it sends you a link to the CML community also. Okay. Next question. Why are only IOL Linux devices available in free version? Is it possible to use iOS in the free version? I had to select this one because we hear that a lot.
Not sure what that's referring to. Is that referring to VIOS not being in free version?
They didn't clarify on that. Do you want to come back to that one? P.S. Rye, can you submit
Yeah, Justin, I think we only have IOL devices. We don't have iOS, right? In the free reference platform bundle.
Yeah, I think the VIOS is, we're trying to deprecate it, aren't we? I mean, I think it probably just exists in the paid version just because it always has, or am I mistaken?
Yeah. So the VIOS, yeah, it's an older version, and IOL is the replacement for the VIOS. So yeah, that should be why we have IOL in the free and no longer have the iOS.
Yeah, I'd be curious to know if there's a specific feature that is in VIOS that's not an IOL, which is.
There's quite a few, especially in the L2 variant. I mean, 802.1x, for example, doesn't work in IOL, and some other security related stuff.
Okay.
I mean, there's just some things that are not in IOL or not working properly in IOL. And I don't think that we are going to, at least I don't see that we are going to deprecate or not include IOSV in the future. The reason it's not, I mean, at least my understanding, and Dalton, correct me if I'm wrong here, but the reason why it's not included in IOL is, in the free version, is that IOL is much more lightweight, so it supports, it runs properly and nicely on even the lowest end laptops. And the other thing is we had to draw a line somewhere, same question as with NXOS, between free, what you get for free, and what you get for personal, and what you get for like the more advanced version. So that's just a line that we drew in the sand, and iOSV fell on the right side of things and IOL fell on the other side of things.
Okay. Thank you, Ralph. Did someone can someone post the GitHub link for the topologies in the chat?
Yeah.
A couple of people within the chat are asking for those.
I think you posted
Posted in the WebEx, but I'm
You
not.
posted to panelists, I think. Let me post to everyone.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah, thanks.
Okay. Next question. I've tried to install I'm assuming it is CML, on a Lenovo desktop. And can I get the correct BIOS settings to allow the virtualization to work? So that came from someone that said they installed it but are having issues.
Yeah, I can speak to that. When you're installing CML on a Windows, in a Lenovo Windows machine, so there are two categories. So either you have Windows Home Edition, or you have Windows Pro or Enterprise Edition. If you already have Pro or Enterprise, then you can directly install CML on Hyper-V. So in those versions of Pro and Enterprise, they come default with the Hyper-V Manager. If you search for Hyper-V Manager in the Windows Start, you'll see it. And so we have also tested CML in Hyper-V Manager, and we also have the instructions in the GitHub. So this approach is much easier than installing CML in VMware Workstation, because in VMware Workstation, it involves tweaking the registries and disabling Hyper-V. It's a little complicated. So if you are on Windows Pro and Enterprise, we strongly recommend installing CML on Hyper-V Manager. I'll share the link to the documentation in the chat. On the other hand, if you're using Windows Home, then you don't have the Hyper-V Manager. So in that case, you have to rely on Workstation Pro. And for Windows Home users to install CML on Workstation Pro, we have a documentation in the FAQ, CML FAQ. I will share a link to that also in the chat. So that involves tweaking the registry, and there are a few other places where you need to enable and disable certain things. So it's a little complicated. But yeah, if you're on Windows Home, that is your only option. Yeah. So I'll once I share the link, please try those troubleshooting steps, and hopefully you should be able.
Thank you, Ramal. So again, if you missed that, this is being recorded and we'll make sure to have it on our communities for you all as well. Okay. So don't panic if you didn't have your notepad out and writing down everything Ramal just said. It's okay. He's going to send a link. We'll make sure everything is updated so you all have it. All right. I believe we already answered this one, didn't we? Yeah, we just answered that one. Next one, will they take into account our opinions on improvements or returning the Nexus images to CML free? They being, I'm assuming they're referring to the guys. So who wants to take that one?
I think Dalton answered that in the chat.
Did he?
Yeah, I did, and I can state it here again too. So
Okay.
we don't actually own the reference platforms that we ship with, the images and the node definitions. We get these directly from the Cisco business entities that actually own the product. So, I mean, for one, that'd probably be something we have to discuss with that team if they wanted to include it in CML free. But even if in the future, like if we did include the CML free node definition, the user would have to have entitlement to download that Nexus image from Software Central in order to use it in CML. So it's something that's being discussed, but it's somewhat out of our hands at this point, since we don't actually own or develop the reference platforms.
Okay. And you guys, when Dalton said he responded to it in the chat, I believe he's referring to the chat within the webinar. So keep an eye on that too if you answer the questions, because we actually have the guys monitoring that and giving you all answers there as well. Okay. All right, our next question. I have not used CML yet, but I'm considering to do so. In the CML personal subscription, are there any SD-WAN or SD access nodes included? Who would like to take that one?
I can. I just replied in the Slido.
Okay.
Yeah, CML personal includes access to the Catalyst SD-WAN images, vManage, the edge images. There's a specific page on the SD-WAN nodes there in the documentation. If you purchase CML Personal, it's not on the core reference platform. You need to download the separate supplemental reference platform image. Those are pretty heavyweight nodes, but if you have the resources, you can run them with CML Personal. I don't remember, but I'm thinking that there's nothing that supports SD access yet, but I need to probably look and check on that.
Okay.
I
Thank
just
you.
posted a link in the chat for the page documentation.
Okay. Thank you, Justin. Thank you, Tom, for that response. Again, Justin posted a link for you all in the chat of the webinar, so take a peek at that. Jorge, you submitted that. Are there features like traffic generators, automation APIs, and advanced Nexus FTD labs coming to at CML free or personal? You like how I'm asking it like a real question, like I'm asking you all?
Yeah, I'll take this. So
Okay.
I don't believe the traffic generator is in the free version, but that is available. We do have Trex in the personal version, automation APIs, that should all work with CML free, just like in personal. I'm not sure exactly what you're looking for there, but we have the Python client library, the REST API, all that should work fine. And then the NXOS and FTD is the same question, kind of that Dalton already answered with regard to us not owning the reference platforms and us having to get approval from the BU to be able to release those, and also keeping some level of separation or distinction between the free and personal versions.
Yeah, and those are included on the personal ones, those Nexus and FTD. As far as like labs for that, that's something we've kind of talked with the Cisco group in general. We had a competition, I think it was last year, Joe Clark had put on, which was like a community-driven CCNA lab submission. That's something we're thinking about doing like on the CCNP level next. So those might fall into that category, but that's a little bit further down the line.
Thank you. Next one from Jeff Chambers. I am attempting to use the GUI version of the breakout tool, but when I click on a lab device and try to input into the terminal window, it closes and reports a WebSocket error. The command line breakout tool works fine. Shout out to Ralph for the video. Any ideas?
I think we had a known issue for similar known issue for breakout in CML 2.8. I wonder if the user is on 2.8 and it was resolved in 2.8.1. And also the other thing to notice, like when you are using breakout tool, make sure that you download the breakout tool from the current version of CML. So if you downloaded the breakout tool from CML 2.7.2, and if you're running CML 2.8 or 2.9, you may run into issues. So make sure that you stay updated with the breakout tool version, the CML version.
Yeah, it's one thing that folks often forget once they've downloaded that breakout tool. The CML APIs do change over time, so it's always best if you've done an upgrade of the CML instance. If you're using the breakout tool, always go in there and download, as soon as you finish your upgrade, download the new version and swap out to using that version.
Okay. In the webinar chat, I did see Hank Preston's name brought up a couple times. We're actually working with him on doing some webinars as well with us on different lab or learning topics. So keep an eye out for that as well. I know sometimes people get inundated with email and don't read it, but I feel like, and maybe because I'm on the team, I feel like our announcements are important. But keep an eye on that because it's coming. Okay, we have some stuff coming for you. John wants to know, will there be a Black Friday sale on CML Personal or Plus? If not, can I get a discount for the future?
Yeah, there will be Black Friday. If it's not Black Friday, it's a Cyber Monday sale. It might be both. I'll have to check with our team that's doing those promos. So yeah, definitely check that. And we also do sales during Cisco events like Cisco Live and Cisco Connect. So if you're able to be an attendee at one of those events, you can come by the Learn with Cisco booths and get your badge scanned. And we send out 50% coupons. And if you can't make it, then we still do 25% online. So be on the lookout for that. I think the first one's Cisco Connect Latin America. I think it's at the end of October, and then Cisco Live in Melbourne. So that's when we'll have our, I guess, most recent promos. That along with the Cyber Monday, Black Friday deal.
Thank you, Dalton. And then Dalton, one more for you. What is the big difference which makes CML better than other available freeware for practice?
It's a good question. Yeah, there's a number of differences. I think for one, we have a pretty rigorous development process here at CML. We follow Cisco's CSDL release process, which is very rigorous. It goes through third-party validation on, and it's also includes the actual reference platforms from the business units. If you get a freeware, you'll have to get that from a torrent site or something that might not be super secure. So with CML, you're getting actually what you intend to. But on top of that, there's a lot of kind of underlying features with CML that kind of make it stand out versus some of the other tools out there. The key thing being the REST API driven. Essentially everything you do in the UI can be done through API calls. So that makes the automation aspect of CML pretty vast. You can do a lot of things with that. You can create multiple labs and do like what if scenarios versus a source of truth, or you could go as deep as putting CML as like a test and validation stage within your CI/CD platform using automation tools like our Terraform and Ansible plugins. So those are probably the biggest differences, I would say. The automation aspect, the security. Yeah.
Thank you, Dalton. I've seen a couple people again post in the chat. I don't know about CML. Can you tell me about it? Again, there are free trainings. If you go to the modeling lab free, I'll put the link again in there for everyone. If you go down here to intro to CML, it's free on Cisco U. That can answer a lot of questions to get you started. Okay. Our next question is there a recommended VM spec for the nodes that are resource intensive? I've had to nuke and rebuild my CML multiple times when I bring just one 9000V. This would be a good time to talk about our resource calculator. Who wants to take that?
You want to talk about that one?
Me?
Mm-hmm.
So we do have, I can. So we do have a resource calculator that we can share with you all. Again, if you all want to send us an email at cml-info@cisco.com. Did I get that email right? I feel like I did. We're going to go with it. Shoot us an email over and we'll be happy to share that resource calculator with you all. It's basically an Excel sheet. If I had it queued up, I would show you, but it's an Excel sheet. You can plug in what devices and what the resources are for those devices, and it'll let you know what the VM spec needs to be.
Yeah, a few other things to add on that. Yeah, so for the Nexus 9K, I believe that default resource allocation is 2 CPU and 12 GB RAM. That's the one thing. If you are short on RAM, you can try, like you can go and edit the Nexus 9K node definition, and you can reduce the RAM to 8 GB. The Nexus 9K should probably boot fine 8 GB, but since the recommended RAM is 12 GB, that's why the node definition is also set to 12 GB. And the other thing is, so unless, sorry, I missed that point. So CML does not allow you to use 100% of your CPU and RAM allocation. So considering, for example, the Nexus, as it needs 2 CPU and 12 GB RAM. If you assign 2 CPU and 12 GB RAM to CML, you'll not be able to start the Nexus 9K because it needs 100% of the allocated resources, right? So I think CML is capped 85% of CPU and 90 or 95% of RAM. So so definitely you need to have little more headroom with respect to the resources if you want to comfortably start the node. Tom, you wanted to add something?
Oh, I was just going to say that when they said 9K, they might have been talking about the Cat 9K, not the Nexus 9K.
Okay. Yeah.
Which is an even larger image, so that's why I was thinking it might be the Cat 9K.
Okay.
Ramal, we're going into another Catalyst question 2, if you want to answer this as you continue that one.
I'll just finish off on that last one. If you look in the FAQ, it's in your system in your node definitions, but you can also look in the CML FAQ, and I think we, with each release, update what our kind of default resource allocation is for each of the different node types that we provide through one of the CML offerings. CML free only gets a subset of those, but that'll show you kind of what we're going to provision those VMs to use. As Ramal said, that we use the recommended value, so there may be a minimum value that's smaller than that. You'd have to actually cross-reference the documentation for the version of like Nexus 9000 or whatever to see whether there's a lower minimum resource value that you could set for those node types. But yeah, the defaults that we ship with are usually recommended by the BUs for those versions of the reference platforms we ship. And if you're seeing those, then that is the amount that will be provisioning inside your CML virtual machine or on your CML server.
Okay.
I'll talk about this next one, Catalyst Center. Used to be
Thank
called
you, Tom,
PX.
for that. Okay.
So that one's, we talk about heavy images, and that one is just beyond heavy. It's gargantuous. That's even a word. So yeah, we definitely don't recommend you run that inside CML. At least the same appliance that you're running CML on. It's going to eat up a lot of resources and probably bottleneck whatever you're trying to do inside your labs. However, that being said, you can definitely connect your CML labs, your virtual nodes, to an external source, and the Catalyst Center is one of those. Use the external connector inside CML. You can NAT or bridge over to this other appliance. So you can do that with Catalyst Center, Nexus Dashboard, ICE, a lot of different things like that.
Awesome. Thank you for that one, Dalton. We're going to take 2 more questions and then we'll have to round this session out. Any plans to have Cisco Rugged Series images? If not, what would you suggest me to use that is a good replacement?
I'll take this one. It's something that we've asked quite a bit, and to my knowledge, there doesn't exist a rugged version reference platform virtually of the rugged devices. So unfortunately, there's nothing that we can do today because, as Dalton mentioned, we kind of up to the BUs to be able to have those reference platforms to be able to release them inside of CML. I think at least for like the IE 3000, the closest would be the iOS VL2. So that might be an option, but yeah, unfortunately, there's really no way to do rugged equipment inside of CML today.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Justin. The next one. Currently, similar solutions are Huawei's ENSP Pro, but it is limited to partners only, and the other free solution is called EVE-NG.
You could just jump to the very end. That's really what we're trying to address here is can the images from other providers be uploaded and still work properly? And that's, yes, it's something that people don't realize since we do provide access and this nice ref platform image with the ISO image with a bunch of virtual machine images or container images on there for you to run. People don't always realize you can always add your own virtual machine images. You can do alternate if you have access, for example, to Nexus switches, and you've got a CML personal or even a CML free, and you have access to Nexus images, you can load the Nexus 9KB images in there that will work fine. You can go grab images from other vendors, some open source images, Microsoft Windows, Juniper devices, Arista, whatever. If they have a virtual machine image that you have access to and licensed to run and use, you can bring that virtual machine image as long as it works with Linux KVM virtualization. We're running the current CML release. CML free release certainly is based on Ubuntu 24.04. So if they have a virtual machine image that works with the Kimu KVM on Ubuntu 24, you should be able to get it to run in CML, and CML will treat that just like any other device. So you can connect, it's links to other devices, virtual machines in the simulation. Traffic will be passed. You can capture traffic going across the network. It should be treated just like any other virtual machine image. We provide a bunch for you, but you can certainly bring your own. I also included a link there to the CML community. Each type of device requires a node definition, and that basically is what tells CML sort of what KVM parameters and things to use for running that virtual machine, images that are going to be associated with that virtual machine type. But the CML community has a bunch of the community members have already contributed node definitions for a bunch of third-party virtual machines. So if you've got access to a particular virtual machine, but you don't want to create that node definition by yourself, go first to the CML community, look under those node definitions. It might very well already be there. If it's not, and you get a third-party virtual machine image, you figure out how to get it running in CML and get the node definition, we'd love to have the contribution into that CML community, help out your other CML users with that.
Awesome. And to reference those links and Tom's response, they were dropped in the webinar chat. And also, if you're in Slido, you have replies there as well. So I'm going to round off, end us in this session with this is more like a comment. You guys did a great job with 2.9 side by side. I compared Eve NG Pro, CML 2.9 Rockstar fast and very stable, even in different vendors' images. So shout out to the engineering team. You guys are doing amazing. Our next item, I want to make sure that we do before we end. I want to give you all a couple minutes to go ahead. Let me pull it up for you. And complete our next poll. What were your thoughts on this session? Go ahead and respond to this poll. We'll give you all a couple minutes. And while you all are doing that, I do want to let you all know that if your question did not get answered, it is okay. Okay, you can join our CML community. We will be posting the questions and answers under the topic that is labeled this date for this office hours. Also, you can go ahead and register for the upcoming CML office hours. I believe once you click the link to register, you can select whatever sessions you want and it'll put it on your calendar for you. Okay. And then again, we have free Cisco U training that you're able to have access to. And as always, feel free to send us any of your questions, comments, concerns to our mailer that is also in the chat. Okay. So again, thank you everyone for joining. If we had any closing music, I'll be playing it right now. I'll think about that for the next session. But go ahead, fill out that survey for us. Let us know what you thought. And we look forward to seeing and hearing from you all again in September.